Check, check. Check, check.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I might be a guest speaker, I'm not sure, but I'm not going to treat this as if I'm a guest speaker. So if everyone would be willing to come on in, I think it would be good to get started so I could do my best to stay on time. So I think everybody remembers me, but just in case you don't remember me or maybe you're new, my name is Paul Ahrens. This is my wife Claire and my baby Zoe. You haven't met Zoe before. This is her first time here. But I worked here as the associate minister starting in 2020, leading to 2021, and then that's when me and my wife moved to Querétaro, Mexico, and Montwood here is our sending or our sponsoring congregation. So you all handle all our support and basically handle our big things. You're kind of our umbrella corporation, if you will. So this morning, the elders asked me to do a mission report for basically what's been going on with us, with the Ahrens family in Querétaro, Mexico. And go ahead and click it. Now, you know I had to sneak some pictures of Zoe in here, even if they're not necessarily what we've been up to, but it is a big change in our life. Well, that's true. It is. And go ahead and change it. So I thought when I did this presentation, I thought it would be good to form it in the format of common questions that people have for us. Because as you can imagine, in Mexico, 2 Americans living there raises a lot of questions. And for here, 2 young Americans living in Mexico also raises a lot of questions. So the way I'm going to format this class is I will pose a hypothetical question that I receive a lot and then give you the answer. Feel free to ask questions or make comments throughout, but I will also try and save some time at the end for questions. But again, don't feel shy if you have a question. Ask it, and I'll repeat it for our live audience. So the first question, most common question I get, Mexico is a big country, so where in Mexico do we live? Go ahead and change it. We live in Querétaro, Mexico. The red is the whole state of Querétaro, but the city of Querétaro, we live in Querétaro, Mexico. But the city of Querétaro takes up about 80% of the whole state. Most of the state is just the city. It's not a very big state. And it's probably difficult to see. But for those who can see, there's a little tiny, just south, there's a little tiny state. And that little tiny state is the entire city of Mexico City. So we're pretty close to Mexico City, about 3 hours northwest. And this picture here is perhaps, if you look up Querétaro, Mexico, that picture is probably what you're going to see. That picture is the aqueduct. And the aqueduct is one of the main things that Querétaro is known for. The aqueduct was made in 1638. And it was operational all the way till around 1910. It was actually built just to bring water to a nunnery. These nuns made a request to the governor to have them bring water. But it's because of it was so well made, it still looks amazing today, and it's one of the things that draws people to Querétaro for tourism. Go ahead and change it. I wanted to share some kind of sights and sounds from Querétaro, just kind of miscellaneous pictures that don't really fit anywhere else. Here's some of the food that we have. In the bottom, I guess it'd be your left. We have with the white, that's called tinga. That's Claire's personal favorite. They're kind of like tostadas with chicken on them, and then they have a sauce. Above it, the thing that looks like green eggs and ham, that is it's basically just chorizo, just sausage. And the reason it's green, it's from the salsa that they cook it in. And then on the right are lengua tacos or cow tongue tacos. Go ahead and change it. Here's another picture of the aqueduct. And then on the left, I just wanted to share it so you can kind of get a sense of what the landscape looks like. Being in El Paso, when we think of Mexico, what do we usually think of? We think of Juarez, right? We think of desert. Think of rundown houses, or especially the ones right next to the border. We think of maybe not the richest part of the world, right? But that's not quite what Querétaro is like. But you can see it's not in the mountains, and it's a little arid, but compared to El Paso, it's lush, I would say. Go ahead and change it. It's a very, very old city. Most of these buildings were built in the late 1500s, early 1600s, and on. This is our downtown. Go ahead and change it. This is our house for about another month. We're getting ready to move but we're only moving about a block and a half away, so not very far. But this is our current house. It's kind of like, you can kind of think of it like apartments. They're all connected. We share walls and everything like that, but it's about as big as a house. Go ahead and change it. This is if you're having a hard time finding our neighborhood, you look for these towers. They have blue windows, which kind of sets it apart, and they're far and above taller than anything else in our neighborhood. Go ahead and change it. Viva Mexico. That's kind of like the cry of Mexico. You could change it. Again, just so you can see, we're kind of at the foot of the mountains. There's rolling hills, but we're not in the mountains. We're not in the jungle. It's kind of arid. It kind of reminds me of the Guadalupe Mountains a little bit, with a little bit more to it, a little bit more shrubbery to it. Go ahead and change it. This is the church in downtown. It's extremely old, made in the 1620s, and that's where the city started and grows out from there. And then just to give you an example of some of the architecture that you can see in downtown. Okay, so another question we always get, especially in Mexico, is did you move here alone? Meaning just me and Claire. No, we did not move there alone. We have our team, which I would like to introduce to you. First up, we have Eric and Neva Bishop. Eric and Neva both went through the Adventures in Missions program at Sunset together, so they were in our class. Then we have Ian and Melanie. Ian and Melanie were just married this last February. Melanie is from Mexico, and then Ian is from Indiana. And they both went through AIM. Ian was in our class, and Melanie was 2 years ahead of us. Then we have the Garcia family. Christian is Melanie's brother, and he is also from Mexico. And then Reagan's from Seminole, Texas, and then their baby boy was born in Mexico City. He's 4 months older than Zoe. So what was the process like of moving there? Did we bring all of our stuff? Did we have to put everything in storage? What did we do? Well, basically, we started over. So we sold just anything that didn't have sentimental value, and some, I guess maybe some that had a little sentimental value. We sold everything here in El Paso, and then took the rest to my in-laws' house, and then my parents' house, and my grandma's house to store pictures and wedding gifts, and they've been real troopers for housing all that. And then whenever we got to Querétaro, and that included our cars as well. We did not drive down there. We flew. Because from here, driving it would be something like 14 or 15 hours. And at the time, Claire was 6 months pregnant, and that didn't sound very fun to us. So we flew down and just bought everything. Everything was new. Everything we bought brand new. We bought a car down there and bought all our furniture, and we're still buying, decorations and things bit by bit. Go ahead and change it. This is the question, whenever they see Zoe and find out she was born in Mexico, this is the question that I'm always asked. What was it like having a baby there? Because most people tend to think, well, did you have a home birth? Did you give birth in a hospital that looks like it's straight out of a horror movie? What did it look like? Go ahead and change it. This is a good opportunity also to show more pictures of Zoe, but you can see I'm wearing scrubs on the side. And that was our room. We had our room all to ourselves. It was a room that, I would say, the ceiling wasn't as high, but it was probably about as big as the foyer is, more or less. And we had it all to ourselves with bathroom and everything. We didn't have her in a hospital. We had her in a clinic because, believe it or not, having her in a hospital was incredibly expensive. So we had her in a clinic which our doctor actually worked at, and she recommended anyway because it was because it's so much smaller. They didn't treat COVID. They didn't treat things like that. It was mostly just minor lacerations, things like that, and they had a small birthing wing. And actually, while we were there, we had to have an emergency C-section, and that all went perfectly, as perfect as could be for all of that. And Zoe was born very healthy. We just had to spend 2 nights in the hospital, and it was all wonderful. Her parents were there, and they can attest that really it was a really wonderful hospital. And then those were the 2 pictures of Zoe at the hospital when she was born. So now that we've kind of established what it was like moving there, what it was like having a baby, let's go through and meet we call ourselves the Church at the Park because our congregation that we're planting right now meets in the park. We just meet on park benches in the park in our neighborhood. So you can go ahead and change it. On the left, that's what the park looks like. It has I don't know what they're called. a pergola. So it doesn't really have shade. It doesn't provide protection from anything, but it's usually in the morning the trees are covering it. It's usually not too bad. And we just meet at these park benches. We're allowed to meet at these park benches as long as we don't try and kick people out of these park benches that are already there. It's first come, first serve. And as long as we don't leave it a mess. As long as we clean up after ourselves, then we're more than welcome to use it. And that's a basic Sunday attendance. That day we had a few guests, some family and friends visiting. And on the right is a picture of all the families with babies. So we thought it would be fun. I think that was even on Mother's Day that we took that picture. And you can go ahead and change it. So that, again, that's more or less basic attendance. If we have more people than the park benches can fit, we just have lawn chairs or plastic stools or whatever, just so we can kind of sit in a circle. And now it's time to start introducing the members who come. And when I use the term members, I mean people who come either every Sunday or at least most of the Sundays of a month. They're not someone who just came for 1 or 2 Sundays. So first we have Rosa and Ovidio, and then their baby Sebastian. Sebastian is 2 months older than Zoe, so he's right in between Grayson and Zoe. And this was when we first met him. I can't remember if we met him at the end of February or the beginning of March, but it was right around there. And the Garcias, Christian and Reagan Garcia, they were out and about, and they saw Rosa in a video kind of in the median, a big wide median with a sign, and they noticed that they had a baby boy. And since their son, he grows like a weed. He grows very quick. And since he was growing out of his clothes, they had lots of extra clothes. And so they asked him, well, would you all need some clothes for your baby? And they said, yes, absolutely, that'd be great. And so Christian and Reagan also invited him to church. And on that Sunday, I believe it was a Friday or a Saturday, and on Sunday we threw them a very impromptu baby shower because they had their baby, Sebastian, and then didn't, of course, have any baby shower, so they were missing lots of basic things that we all get whenever we have baby showers. And they have not missed a Sunday since. They're immigrants from Guatemala, living in Mexico. They're leaving a very poverty-stricken area, looking for better opportunities. And actually, last Sunday, they were baptized. They were our first baptisms. So they were just baptized, Rosa and Ovidio and Sebastian. So they're our newest brothers and sisters. Go ahead and change it. Over here on the rocks, you have myself, but then you have Sergio. He's actually the first person that we met. We met him at an English night, which I'll describe what the English night looks like in a minute. But he's actually the very first person we met, and he's the reason that we meet at all, because in our plan, when we were making our plan to go to Querétaro, we had no plans to actually meet as a congregation before a year. We didn't think we were going to actually meet anybody that would want to come to church before a year. We met Sergio. It was either the very end of September or the beginning of October. So about a month and a half or 2 months after we got there, we met Sergio, and he was already wanting to come. And so that's why we chose the park and started meeting. Sergio he's Mexican from a different state. He too was fleeing cartel violence just because his area is a really rough area. He is, I believe, an aerospace engineer. And I say that because he is on a team that's developing Mexico's very first satellite launch. And he's very hands-on in developing that. But he's an engineer. He graduated from one of the top universities in Mexico. And he comes pretty much every Sunday. He's also involved in other ministries that we do in Juriquilla. And then we have Jorge. He's holding Grayson. Jorge we met Jorge actually because we were meeting in the park. We were meeting in the park one Sunday, I believe, right around New Year's, maybe a little earlier, and he heard us. He heard us singing, so he stopped and watched for a little while. We saw him stopping and watching, and then we started our lesson, and he stayed pretty much for the whole lesson watching. And then after we were done, he came and asked if we were a church, and we said yes, and he said, could I please come? And so he comes. As long as he's in town, he travels a lot, but as long as he's in town, he comes pretty much every Sunday. He has brought his wife, but like many people during the pandemic and with the war in Ukraine, she's having trouble understanding how God could let that happen. It's something that many of us have either wrestled with or know people who have wrestled. So she comes every now and then, but Jorge comes almost every Sunday. Go ahead and change it. I think we have time for it. I'm not sure. This is a little different. When I did this presentation in a small congregation in Colorado, they don't sing any Spanish songs. Here we sing Spanish songs every Sunday. But I thought it would be fun. They should be starting worship. So I thought it'd be fun to sing a song, a very simple song that's also in English, in Spanish, during the same time that our congregation in Querétaro is singing perhaps this song or songs like it. This song, I can never remember the name because I know it better in Spanish. Jesus, Beautiful Savior, or Wonderful Savior. I'll start singing it. Anyone who knows it, please join along so it's not a solo act. I think you'll get the tune to it pretty easily. And we'll just sing it and see how it goes, just to give you a taste of what it's like on Sunday morning worship for us. Cristo, nombre glorioso, precioso Salvador, bello Señor, Emmanuel, Dios con nosotros, palabra viva, mi Redentor. So that we sing a lot of songs like that. Most of the songs that we sing are English songs that have been translated to Spanish, just because there's not a ton of songs that have been written, or a ton of hymns, I should say, that have been written originally in Spanish. Go ahead and change it. So what exactly do we do in Querétaro? People have an understanding that we're planting a congregation. People have an understanding that we try and study with people, but how do we go about meeting people? What do we do basically Monday through Saturday when we're not at worship? So go ahead and change it. So one of the first things that I started doing, or I should first introduce what Claire does primarily and a couple of our other teammates. Right now, because when we went to Mexico, Claire had a basic understanding of Spanish, but not enough to really be able to communicate effectively. So Claire, from, I believe, September, or maybe even August, I can't remember if we started our first month or waited till September, Claire has been taking Spanish classes twice a week. Because you can understand of the baby, they are online with someone. There's Skype sessions one-on-one with someone who lives in the city with us, but just having the logistics of going to her house or her coming there was just too difficult, so we do Skype. And Claire has been doing great, even with, oftentimes she has to take class with Zoe, and she has done great. She's, in my opinion, winding down doing her classes, and will be able to transition more into ministries where she can practice. Now she's more in the stage of let's get fluent rather than learn. She knows most of it, she just needs to put it into practice. So that will be a transition we'll be making whenever we return. One of the first things that I got involved with almost as soon as we moved there was I coach flag football for kids. The way it happened, I went to Mexico already speaking Spanish, so I was looking for ways that I can get involved in the community because I didn't need to take classes. And so I asked one of my teammates, Christian, if I tried looking on Google, it just wasn't yielding any results, but I asked Christian, do you know of any way I can find a flag football league that I can coach or maybe play just to get to know people? And he said that his cousin who lives in Querétaro, he's 11, his head coach of his flag football team just passed away. And so they needed a coach, especially because the other two coaches were that coach's sons. And so you can imagine two 20-year-old sons need time to mourn the loss of their father and do funeral arrangements and things like that. And so I stepped in as the head coach. We didn't have very many kids, maybe 8 at the time. This was also in late 2021, so COVID regulations were still a little bit stricter. And but since then, we've grown and grown. And after that, now we have approximately 65 kids who come. And the kids that I work with now, I'm no longer the head coach of the whole organization. I'm the head coach of the 13-year-olds, 11 and 13-year-olds, because the 11 and 13-year-olds are the age group of the kids that come from the orphanage and play football with us. And I'm the only, though she's only 8 months, I'm the only one of the coaches who's a parent, and I'm the only coach also who has the patience to work with these kids, because these kids, they don't leave, they have a huge compound. Their orphanage is a big compound, so they do school there, they do most everything there. So really the only time they leave is to come to football practice, and you can imagine 11 and 13-year-olds when they come to a football field twice a week, they are absolutely wired. And so I'm the only one really, maybe the other ones have the patience, they just don't want to try, but I'm the only one who has the patience to wrangle them in. And the other coaches, one coach coaches all the boys who are older than 14 or older, and the other coach coaches all the girls who are 14 and older, and I take the kids. I think it's wonderful, and it's what we would call, I'll come back to this, but it's what we would call more influential evangelism. And that is where it's not so much you're doing Bible studies and things like that, it's more you try and, through your coaching or whatever, you try and teach respect, love for your teammates, I want to say a good man, but I have girls on my team too, but what a good Christian would look like, right? How did Jesus live? And it's not so much that I'm teaching Luke chapter 5, it's more trying to explain situations to the kids. I also play, you could go ahead, before we skip, actually, that's our football field, and the neat thing is that pyramid was built by, well, you could say Native Americans because they are in North America, or you could say Native Mexicans. But they built that pyramid, it's estimated in the 1200s or 1300s. And you'll notice on top, like it's the same, and then suddenly it's a little bit different structure. That's because when the conquistadors came, although when they came there weren't very many indigenous people due to the Aztec Empire, they displaced most of the people there. The conquistadors came and said, what's that pyramid? And they said, that's people sacrificed there or used to sacrifice there. And so they went and built a cathedral on top to say, well, now you're going to worship here. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. It's right in our goalpost. It's a beautiful field. It's actually open to the public, and we just reserve it for a few hours every night. Now you can go ahead. That's the other head coach. He's the coach of the boys. Before I stepped down as the head coach, I also worked as the defensive coordinator for all age groups. And that was back in April or May, I can't quite remember. I believe April. But we won the championship for the 17-year-olds. And that was a really important day for him because it was only about 5 months after his father passed away. So to show that he won that for his father. And then that's our team who won that. You can go ahead. These are the kids these are my 11-year-olds on the left. That's just a picture of me with them. And then on the right, that's when I play. I play at nights in it's an open age group. So I play with the kids, and the other coach also plays on the same team. He plays on the offense as quarterback and coaches them while playing. And then I play on the defense and coach them while playing. So I can also show them how to do it. And that's what I'm doing there. I'm trying to tell them, close the gap, close the gap. You can go ahead. Another thing that we're heavily involved with, in my opinion, it has been our most fruitful ministry. But we got involved with English groups. Because one thing about Querétaro is there's lots of Mexican people who want to learn English. But Querétaro, the joke there is that no one's actually from Querétaro. Everybody moved there because there's so many people from different states in Mexico, and then there's so many Americans, and there's so many people from Asia due to factories that have been built there, and there's lots of Europeans who live there too. And all these people would like to learn English. So at these English groups, there's Americans who are there kind of to facilitate, to listen to a native speaker. But then there's also people, we have a man from Ukraine, we've met people from China, lots of people from Mexico, people from different parts of South America. And this group here is how we met Sergio. And we've met lots of other people who have come intermittently, but like I said, I wouldn't consider them members of our congregation. And basically, the one on the right is the group I'm referring to. We weren't sitting in pitch dark. I don't know why it looks like we had dinner in a cave in that picture. It was a restaurant, but it really does look like we had it in a cave. But in this one, we meet as a group. We have the cutoff at 20, and we usually meet that limit. And we have a group conversation. We just kind of popcorn or jump around and ask basic questions that you would be asked in a conversation, like, but a little bit deeper than just what's your name, what do you do. We try and ask things like, what's your favorite animal and why? If you could travel anywhere, where would it be? Things like that, things that aren't just a one-word answer. And then we break off into either pairs or groups of 3, and then we have, sometimes we play games, like sometimes I'm one of the organizers of this group, and sometimes I'll have them do kind of like Shark Tank, where they have to come up with an idea and present it to the group, or things like, we play games like that where they have to talk in English and maybe do a presentation in English, just to continue. So we have Sergio who comes to church, and then often Claire comes too. I study with a guy on Fridays who I met from this group as well. It's by far, and every single time we go, I've never gone once and not had someone ask me, as soon as they find out I'm a minister, usually I have to describe it as I'm a preacher or I teach the Bible because they don't fully understand what a missionary, the only image of missionary is Mormon missionaries. So I usually describe myself as a missionary or sometimes as a preacher, and then they understand. But they always, always, always have a spiritual question to ask me every single time. Every single Saturday, it's something about the Holy Spirit or baptism or how to pray. I mean, all kinds, every single time. So it's definitely something that I've really enjoyed, and I can see the opportunities there. And the one on the left, it's the same type of thing, except it's what's called an intercambio. So we change from Spanish to English. So you pick a partner, you're with them for 20 minutes, 10 minutes of English, 10 minutes of Spanish, change partners, repeat. So it's the same type of thing, but it's to practice both your English and Spanish. You can go ahead and change it. This has the potential to be our biggest ministry, I believe. It's what the girls on our team do. It's called Kids Club. It's something that Claire learned while she lived in Phoenix as an Adventures in Missions student. Basically, it's a compressed VBS that they have weekly. We have it in the park. And it's 1 hour, and in that hour, they have a short Bible lesson, something very basic. Right now, they've been working through Genesis, so, the days of creation, Adam and Eve, Noah, they just try and make it into a bite-sized, maybe 10, 15-minute lesson. And then from there, they do a craft themed around it. So if they did Noah's Ark, you would probably do a craft building an ark with animals. And then they have a snack at the end. In that case, probably something with animal crackers or Teddy Grahams or something like that. And parents, you can maybe see in this a parent or two. They encourage that parents are more than welcome to stay, just to make everybody more comfortable. And we have it in the exact same place that we have worship on Sundays. And the reason I say it's potentially the most, or has the potential to be the most fruitful, is Querétaro is very affluent. And when I say that, I don't mean affluent for Mexico. I mean very affluent for the world. Many times, it's very, very common to see Mercedes-Benz, Audis, very, very rich cars. Depending on where you go in the city, if you go out kind of in the hills, you can find some million-dollar houses. Most people there do not live in poverty. Even if they don't make lots and lots of money, they have a house or an apartment. That's why so many people move there, because there's so many jobs and the jobs pay well. And compared to the cost of living, it's very good. And so, as you can imagine, it's a problem that we often have in the United States, is many people feel like since all their physical needs and more are met, they have no need for anything else. They don't need God, they don't need religion, they don't need church, because why would I when I make so much money I can take care of myself, right? But what happens many times when we become parents is what we want better for our kids, right? And so many times these parents, they see the opportunity for their kids not just to have wealth. They have the opportunity for them to have a true faith and live a true life. And many times that's the way that we can meet people. That's why we say for FBC, that's why we say invite people with kids, right? It's so that the kids can learn, but also the parents, we have an open door for the parents as well, right? And so we're hoping that this can be potentially our most effective ministry. You could go ahead and change it. So I've been asked how every missionary that goes, or I guess I should say every good missionary that goes, has a loose plan, right? You have goals, you have a timeline that you want to meet. Now, a good missionary doesn't hold firm to that plan, but every missionary goes with it. And so people ask me often, where are you on your timeline? Because in August, we will have completed 1 year, and we committed to 5 years, so that's 20%. How are you going? So you can go ahead. There's our plan. It's long. I understand it's very small. But you'll see, like, for those who can see it, plant, we put it in terminology of planting, because we're planting a congregation. So it's like planting, establishing roots, sprouting, blooming, bearing fruit, and pollination. And we started the plant actually while we were here in El Paso, because this included raising support and actually moving down there. And just the next one was still in the first year, and it's to learn Spanish, make routines, and make connections. And then under the 2 years, that's where it says launch your first worship service. So ideally, we were supposed to be, or not ideally, back then we were believing we were going to be launching our first worship service, not in a building, just with people outside of just our team, at 1 year, at the 1 year mark, but we're already well past that. We've already almost been meeting for 1 year. So we are way ahead of our timeline than we thought. I don't know if that was us underestimating how quickly it would pass, or if we estimated it correctly and God just decided that it wasn't quick enough. So the next things that we want to be doing is, of course, leadership development and development of your Christian walk with Rosa and Ovidio, who I mentioned were just baptized last week. We want to be intentional with guiding and studying with them. Of course, their baptism isn't the end of our work with them. It's just the very, very beginning. And so we've already begun our specific ministries, the things I've already talked about. Part of that will be bringing Rosa and Ovidio and allowing them to work in those ministries as well. And I would say our next big goal, in my opinion, is to find a building. However, we're not in a rush to do that, because whatever building we find needs to be feasible for the people who attend church. Because if we pay for the building and then we leave and they can't afford it, they're going to get evicted, and that would be terrible, of course. So we're waiting until we have a few more people and we have an understanding of what would be feasible to rent. So that might be a year from now. It might be 2 years from now. I'm not certain, of course. That's all in God's timing. And we have on here to begin a coffee shop. That would be at the very, very end of our time, maybe in year 4. And we decided to try that or pursue that because it has been popular here in America, but we've seen it work very well in Mexico, specifically in Mexico City, where they've used that location to fund the church and the money they earn from the coffee shop, but also it makes a good location for, let's say, English lessons or Bible studies, and it's a good way to meet people. So prayerfully, we're planning on that in the next few years. And as I mentioned, we've committed to 5 years. That's very loose, though. Claire and I have committed to 5 years, but have said if the congregation is not ready for us to leave, well, then we're not going to leave yet. We'll stay and evaluate every year after that, because too often I've seen sometimes it's an emergency and missionaries have to, other times they decide to leave and the congregation falls apart because the leadership wasn't in place. The Christians weren't mature enough to meet without the leaders that they had. So that's our plan, but like I said, God has put that plan in a bag and shaken it up and shuffled it all up. So it may look very, very different even next year. You can go ahead and change it. So we just have a couple minutes, so I just want to open it up. If anyone has any questions, you could shout it. I should be able to hear, and then I'll repeat it for our Facebook audience. Does anyone have any questions?
So what I'm not getting is, so about how many people are meeting with you in the park now? I mean, I saw the photo, but I'm not that great at counting. So
Yeah. So on a normal day, we have the 8 adults on our team, and then the 2 babies. So that makes 10, but that's just our mission team. And then we have Rosa, Ovidio, and Sebastian, Sergio, and Jorge. So usually we're right around 15 people at the park. Almost every week, I'd say maybe every other week, we have a visitor. A lot of people find us on Facebook and reach out. Many times they're American people who are they just moved and looking for a Christian church. And so when they type in church in Querétaro, we pop up because me and Claire's mission page pops up. And so sometimes people come. I would say on any given Sunday, we potentially have 1 or 2 visitors apart from our core 15 that are there.
I'm helping Fred run around. I'm sorry. So now that kind of brings up another question is, how many other would you consider Christian churches are there in Querétaro, because it doesn't seem like these people are are coming back, and I kind of get that, you
Mhm.
know. Well, I'm just curious. Do you
Yeah,
know?
so that's a big reason why we chose Querétaro, because we asked other missionaries who had lived in Mexico, where do you recommend planting a church? And they all said Querétaro because they knew that the church's presence was very weak there. So we went in, when we left before the pandemic, we understood there was 5 churches of Christ and none of them were very big. Now that we're there, one of them closed during the pandemic. Another one closed, but in a way it was replaced by another one, but it's because of a church split. And that church split is only 4 families, and they don't allow anyone but those 4 families to go. They don't allow guests. They don't want to meet with anybody. It's just those 4 families. So if it's a little difficult to kind of understand, but it's around 4 congregations. There are, of course, I guess it'd be roughly translates to Assembly of God. There's one non-denominational church close to us, and we've talked with them and told them we would love to help in any way. One of our ladies, they go to their ladies' Bible study on Sundays. So we try and make it clear with any other congregation that's there. We've had very limited contact with the Churches of Christ there. Like I said, that one church doesn't want anybody. I did meet with the pastor from the one that closed their doors. But for the most part, they're not super interested. They just want to make it clear that they don't want us taking their members, and we've made it clear that that's not why we're here. We're not here to move Christians. We're here to make Christians. But we try and make it clear to everybody where we want to work with you. We're happy to work with you and help however we can. This is where we meet, and we just want to all work together. And so far, that hasn't produced a lot of fruit, but it has not been met with negativity or it's been met with positivity, just with nothing leading of it. I think we might have time. If anyone has one more question, I think we have time for that. But don't feel pressured to ask a question if you don't have a question. All right. Then we will end there so that we can get everything ready for worship. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. It means a lot. It means a lot that I can share what we're doing and that it means something to you, because we understand that you don't just send us, you're truly partners with us in this work. So this work, our work is our work. It's your work as well. So thank you for your time.